This week, we fly to India to meet Priyanshu Kumath, the founder and CEO of Clean Water, solving an urgent problem in the country and beyond.
Not even a single urban center in the entire India can boast that our river, the river or the drains or the streams flowing through our city are absolutely clean.
The company treated more than 1 billion liters of water, using innovative nature-based products and floating gardens.
So there's a lot more to these floating gardens or floating wetlands than what meets the eye. And that's a very common misconception.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to spoil our audience, but what matters is that you turn this into that.
Who do you rejuvenate the water body for? Is it for the fishermen? Is it for the people who live near the water body? Is it from the perspective of the government? Or is it from the perspective of every citizen? Or is it from the perspective of the ecology? This is a multi-dimensional problem and it also has multi-dimensional impacts.
So, hello everyone and welcome to Ecosystemic. With me today, our guest, Priyanshu Kumath, and he will tell us everything about water cleaning and revival, mimicking nature to make nature great again. So, hi Priyanshu and welcome to the show.
Hi, Raouf. Thank you for having me here. It's wonderful to meet you and have a conversation with you.
First, I had the opportunity to know you, and I think that your journey worth sharing because obviously you are not like fresh graduate out of college launching your first startup. You had a life before, and I would love to hear from you what brought you to this mission from day one, from graduating, your work experience, and what's the relation between what you did before and what you are doing now.
All right, I'll quickly run you through the relevant part of my journey. So, actually, I am a civil engineer by education. I hold a BTech in civil engineering from IIT Bombay. And in the early part of my career, I was working with civil engineering and real estate organizations, the early part of my career, before moving on to a startup called housing.com, which was kind of a flag bearer during the startup waves during 2015, 16 kind of era. At the tender age of 24, 25, I got to hire, train, lead a team of 700 people at that startup. And I was part of CEO's office there as well, which kind of gave me immense confidence that even I can start an organization myself. But I wanted to solve a major social problem in the process as well. I just didn't want to earn money. My um, what should I do in life kind of aligned with the bigger purpose of life. What should I do professionally kind of aligns with the bigger purpose of life. And I thought the best way I could be spending my life is if I'm solving the most pressing problems of today, like clean water, clean air, energy, solid waste. Thought about all of these sectors, finally ended up narrowing down to water. And so we started with building treatment plants first, giving services for the same. Quickly realized product based business models are far more scalable as compared to services, and that nobody was into rejuvenating water bodies. And the ones, our clients who had set up the treatment plants, the wastewater treatment plants, weren't actually running them. Just setting up the treatment plant won't solve the problem of water pollution, right? So the water bodies were still getting polluted. So we thought there are millions of water bodies out there that need rejuvenation in the coming 5, 10, 15 years. Why not make a product for that that is going to be installed on all of these water bodies in the future? So that's what we did and have then kind of been progressing on that path ever since.
What was the motivation behind water? Interviewed another co-founder in Ecosystemic, and we found out together that like his life journey brought him naturally towards tackling air quality. What's your story with water?
Oh, so actually, I had put a kind of a filter on myself that I'll only pick up social problems and make a venture out of that. It kind of aligns with my faith or my belief system, where I kind of believe that the best way you could live your life if you give back to the community, to the people in the maximum possible manner. That's the best way you can live your life. and hence be free of the cycles of rebirth. And that's a very Indic philosophy, but that's my belief system. So thought about things, thought about solid waste, thought about energy, but both of them were very capital intensive. Like your success would depend on the depth of your pocket. Whether you had a million, 10 mil, or 100 million in your pocket, your success is directly proportional to the depth of your pocket, which wasn't the case with water. So we thought about what could we start with in water, and we started giving consulting services and other MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing kind of installation services for setting up of the treatment plant. Um, our first few clients gave us a really healthy advance while we didn't have a lot of costs there, so that got the ball rolling. We delivered over 30 treatment plants. And then less than five of our clients were actually running the treatment plants. That might seem very strange for you to hear. People in India just want to set up the treatment plant so that they get a no objection certificate from the pollution control board. They don't really care about the environment. They don't really want to run their treatment plant. But the way things are structured for them legally is, let's say, they can't start their hospital, they can't start their hotel, they can't hand over a colony or a residential project to the customers unless they build a treatment plant. So they'll build it, but they'll not run it because running takes some maintenance cost and all. So, and anyways, it's on the people to run it, etc. So they just set it up, get a no objection certificate, and yeah, then they treat the water post that. Yeah.
That would be like, okay, having like safety belt in your car but not using it. Like, okay, it's here, the manufacturer had to put it, but I don't use it because I'm annoyed because it attached me too tightly or something, so I don't use it.
Something like that.
What difference would you bring to the market? Because I personally, when I hear water treatment, I hear two things: a, filters, b, chemicals. And I feel like, oh, maybe like it's my bias that bring me to think of the parallel with swimming pools. And I think, okay, like a clean water, you will put like some chlors inside, etc., and have filters to filter all the solid matter, etc., and that's it. So would you do the same thing or bring something new to the market?
Also, I do understand where the filters and chlorine for disinfection is coming from, particularly the swimming pools. But water as a sector is very wide. How I kind of classify or categorize it is, there's this entire drinking water sector, which also has filters, cartridges, membranes, ROs, ultraviolets, etc. Then there's this entire contractor or water supply kind of thing, like pumping water to your home, laying down the pipelines, and then laying down the pipelines for the wastewater that is kind of generated, different pipelines, or maybe channels for the storm water that comes. There's this another sector of entire the treatment plants, the wastewater treatment plants. And there's a lot of water bodies. It could be stagnant ones like lakes, ponds, tanks, etc. It could be flowing ones like rivers, drains, or streams. So yeah, there's and obviously you have to prioritize that in a developing country like India. Obviously, the first priority you'll give is at least let the water reach the homes of people, right? That's step one. People should have basic availability to water. Once that, and India's still kind of getting there. India still does not like have 80 or 90% water supply to 80 or 90% of the homes. So that's priority number one of supplying water to the homes. And then the next problem that arises is what do we do with the wastewater that's generated now, right? So then you start laying down the pipeline, setting up the treatment plants. But in a corrupt system, obviously the treatment plants do not work, the pipelines aren't laid properly, and then this wastewater will eventually find its way to the water bodies, the lakes and the rivers, also because they are often at the lowest point of the contour. So then you have to kind of look at the water bodies independently, although they should be looked at in unison, along with drinking water, wastewater, pipelines, treatment plants, and everything. But India, in terms of its priority, is still kind of just getting the water delivered to people's home. Not even 30% of India's wastewater gets treated. So we're still lagging behind in terms of infrastructure. And finally, the final piece of the puzzle would be rejuvenating the water bodies, and still our focus is yet to come there. Although there are encouraging signs that budgets from the government, policy level changes are coming in for water bodies as well. But yeah, we're still kind of lagging there. So that's how. So a lot of things there besides just filters and chemicals. Yeah.
I see that this is like a very wide topic. And where would you place your company? What would be your focus among all these different targets, like from drinking waters to water bodies that have an importance for the ecosystem, but not a direct importance for human beings? What would be your first focus or like main focus?
Yeah. So our main focus right now is on rejuvenation of water bodies, and particularly improving the water quality in them. Because the wastewater finds its way to the water bodies, polluting them, then that causes most of the problem, right? First thing that happens when wastewater enters a water body is that the water is rendered unfit for reuse. If the water is polluted, you can't pump it and supply it anywhere, right? So the problem of water pollution is affecting scarcity as well. So we actually provide nature-based products to improve the water quality in water bodies. That's how we've positioned ourselves. At a water body in a developing country like India, there are often other services that need to be given as well, right? There may be garbage or solid waste littered all around these water bodies that needs to be picked up. You need to prevent the water bodies from getting encroached. So you might need to make a boundary wall around the water bodies to protect them. You might need to do a lot of construction, civil works, earthworks to deepen the water bodies, desilt them, make good channels of concrete or stone pitching and things like that. But these are some things that every contractor, individual can do, right? Not a lot of value add that we can do there. But improving the water quality in situ in water bodies is something we specialize in. Also, because in the urban context in India, we have encroached the water bodies from all sides. So there's often no space available to set up a treatment plant. So how do you still clean the water in a water body? How do you still keep a lake clean without having a treatment plant? Because you have no space to set up a treatment plant there. So that's what we specialize in, that we have to improve the water quality by having, let's say, floating products that will require no additional space around the water body, but still serve the same purpose of improving the water quality, restoring the ecology as well, and doing some beautification so that people can then kind of start enjoying the water body, come there, have a swim, do boating there, and also be free of the waterborne diseases and deaths. Because what a polluted water body can do is it can pollute the groundwater aquifers as well over time. And that is really hard to treat, because once the groundwater aquifers get polluted, I don't know how we'll kind of treat it. And there's methane emissions coming from water bodies. So there's a lot of different sciences and different perspective to a water body, and a lot of constraints that we have to work under. So we position ourselves as product manufacturers for the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like once the aquifer is polluted, the only thing left is to rely on nature to clean it and wait for some 100 years to be done. You said something very interesting. You talked about like nature-based product. Why are you focusing on nature-based product? Is it to be seen as sustainable, or because it's hard? Like, I know that you can do it with chemical product easily, etc. So why going the hard way when you could do it for, let's say, cheaper and as effectively with proven methods that exist, etc.?
Right. Yes, the water could be treated through chemicals, and the world across the world, that's what has been done traditionally. But we have become aware as a culture, as a society, that chemical solutions cannot be used any longer. Even the World Health Organization suggests using only biological solutions or nature-based solutions, because chemical solutions have their own side effects or other harmful effects. For example, you might have seen invasive species on top of water bodies, invasive species like water hyacinth, water lettuce, duckweed, azolla. Now you can treat those chemically through herbicides, but most of the herbicides are carcinogenic. You can solve the problem of invasive species, but then you'll create another problem of having carcinogenic sediments at the bottom of water bodies, which might go into the fish's body and it might bioaccumulate in the fish's body. When the human eats it, the heavy metals and the carcinogenic elements would then be transferred to the human body, and therefore chemical solutions cannot be used anymore, and like only nature and biological solutions could be used. So that's another constraint we have to work under, because do think water body is also a living ecosystem. It's not a swimming pool that you can just simply put in chlorine and there's no living organism in the pool, right? But in water bodies you have all kinds of life system, from insects, invertebrates, snakes, ducks, birds, fishes, the plants around it as well. So if you dose chemical solutions, all of them start dying. So a swimming pool and a water body has very different constraints that you have to work under. You just don't have to clean the water; you have to ensure the life forms survive and thrive as well, and hence the solutions are different for that.
Exactly. And when you talk about your solution, you said like it's a floating system that goes on the water body, the pond, or whatever. We will share some pictures or some sequences in the podcast. But can you describe it to our viewers?
Yes. So, as a company, as an organization, we offer three products. The first being floating wetlands, second being floating aerators, and the third is beneficial microbial cultures. So, wetlands are like floating platforms with plants on top. Their roots go down into the water, pull up heavy metals, pull up nutrients, and thereby it removes these pollutants from the water. Further, the wetlands provide habitat for all kinds of life forms. So, for example, the fish want shade. They come and hide underneath the floating wetlands. But the birds are smarter. They want to hunt for fish. They'll come and sit on top of the wetlands. We've seen ducks laying eggs on top of these floating wetlands in the middle of the water body because it's a safe spot. And the wetlands also do beautification. It has the plants have flowers on top of it, so it's a aesthetically pleasing site as well. So that's what wetlands do. About the floating aerators, I'm sure you must have seen oxygen bubbles in fish tanks and aquariums, right? Imagine bigger ones for water bodies where you have to pump in oxygen in the water because the existing dissolved oxygen got completely used up to degrade the pollutants that had come in. And also the aquatic life need oxygen to survive. So we have to kind of pump in oxygen through these floating aerators. And the third product being beneficial microbial cultures. Like it is a simply put, it's a powder with friendly bacteria in it, five different kinds of bacteria that could remove the smell, the odor, the green color, particularly because of algae. It removes and reduces the volume of sludge at the bottom of water bodies. That has kind of a legacy sludge that has accumulated over time. It also removes all kinds of nutrients, right, from ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, phosphite, phosphate. And by removing the nutrients or the food from the ecosystem, you prevent the invasive species. So, yeah, these are some of our products, which are all nature based and biological in nature.
That's really amazing. It's like, like floating gardens for serving all the ecosystem at once. And while you were describing what you do, s- you know, like I have one question. Would that take more time compared to like industrial chemical solutions? Because I was thinking, oh man, like if you put like these bacteria and let them do their action naturally without any enhancers, without any chemicals, maybe it will take years compared to some weeks or months in a normal installation. But I'm sure I'm mistaken.
No, actually, so our microbial cultures or our bacteria do not take years or months. They start showing effect within hours, and within a few days or a week at best, you would have already seen drastic impact. Our microbial cultures are bioengineered, so really they're very potent. They are nature based, but their performance is as good as a chemical's performance would have been. So we have made great progress and inroads into that segment as well. Uh, I do understand how chemicals are very quick to take effect, but nature-based solutions are also on par with them now. Uh, because we'll wait 1.5 years to get a water body clean, right? It will get further polluted in the meantime. So our products actually show results very quickly.
Yeah, that's really important because, as you said, if it takes time, we need to isolate the water body or the site from any external action. Because if people still coming in, or wastewater still flow in, etc., it will sooner or later it will overflow the action of your installation, and it will be just less polluted rather than clean. And just for the viewers and the listeners to understand what you are describing here, it's not some dream project that you have in mind that is a future development, but it's already a reality. You are already doing it, you did it before, and if I'm not wrong, you did it in more than 20 water bodies.
Yes. So till now, we worked on more than 20 water bodies across India, including lakes and ponds and rivers as well. And we have showcased the effectiveness and the performance of our products towards the bigger goal of water body rejuvenation. Just to cite an example here, we have recently rejuvenated a lake called Annapurna Lake in my hometown of Indore, which used to be a dead lake. All of the 50 to 70,000 fishes had died just a year back because it's a small pond, just 2.5 acres or 1 hectare, and it receives untreated sewage from two inlets. It also receives a lot of ritual waste, like people after doing ritual offerings and with those flowers and petals and things like that, come and throw their religious waste in the ponds. And it the pond was completely filled with water hyacinth on top, which is an invasive species, and therefore all the 50, 70,000 odd fishes were dead about a year back. And now we have revived the lake to drinking water standards using our products. So we have demonstrated that the capability in multiple lakes across India. And therefore, it's not just a theoretical claim anymore. We have live sites where you could come visit. You're free to take a sample, a water sample from the lake, get it tested in any lab you want. That's how confident we are that the water quality is now at drinking water standards, and we have nothing to hide.
Yeah, so simply, if you are doubting that this is feasible, take a flight to indoor region, go to this lake, take a glass of water and drink it.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'll correct you on that. I'll correct you on that. The water is at drinking water standards, doesn't mean it's drinkable. Let me clarify. The Pollution Control Board of India has defined 35 to 40 parameters in terms of drinking water, that the oxygen level should be more than 5 milligrams per liter, the chemical should be less than, let's say, 20 milligrams per liter, and boron, barium, fluoride, arsenic, like 35 to 40 such parameters. We have successfully met all of those 40 parameters, but things like microplastics is not one of those parameters. Things like forever compounds are not one of those parameters. So I myself will not drink it because of these things. We have technically meet the drinking water standards as laid down by the government, but the policy or these parameters laid down by the government are still playing catch up with the changing times, and therefore forever compounds and microplastics are still not a parameter. Technically, it's at drinking water standards, but I told you the reason why I myself won't drink it.
Okay, so there's like, thanks for educating me on this. So there's a difference between like drinking water standards and drinkable water. So if I see this label somewhere, I would know that it doesn't mean that I can drink it. It means that it's clean enough to meet the same standards. And you mentioned offerings and ceremonial ways, and that's I think like very specific to India. It's something that you don't see in other countries. and it's counterintuitive for me. Like if I think, okay, it's like, fruit, vegetables, flowers, at best or at worst, it's just some biodegradable products that will decay in water, they will be eaten by the animals, etc., and that's it. What's the deal?
Yeah, so ritual waste or the religious waste, as we often term it, is very specific to India. You might have seen people conducting some rituals in their home with flowers, with some leaves, and then you might have seen a plate filled with 10, 12 different kinds of materials. It could be turmeric, it could be rice, small rice grains, and like 10, 12 different materials, which from the perspective of water, I would term them as chemicals. The organic stuff could be very easily degraded, but not these chemicals. And you're talking about 10 to 12 different kinds of chemicals. And you're talking about 50 or 500 households throwing in their religious waste in the pond every day. So it's not a single household that will do that. So it is kind of a shock load of chemicals that come into the water. We've tried educating the people that, hey, look, you should not throw your religious waste in water bodies. Obviously, it will pollute it. Uh, but that's a cultural problem with India right now of how people kind of put the logic aside when it comes to religion. And so, let's say, in terms of if there's a kind of a religious practice going on, people just will keep following that practice and they'll forget the logic behind it. For example, let's say if there's a practice of going to the church every Sunday and lighting three candles, the number three might not have a lot of consequence, right? You could light a candle or you could light five candles, right? But if a lot of people will shut their heads and say, no, three means three. I will not light two or four, I light three. And that's when logic goes out of the window and it becomes very ritualistic. Uh, and often people are very emotional about their religion, fueled more so by the politicians, the current politicians in the country today. And when we tell people, hey, don't throw the religious waste in the pond, they'll start fighting with us. Who are you to tell us? Uh, is it your pond? Do you own the pond? They'll start abusing us and maybe even get in a physical alteration with them. If we give them the logic that, hey, you did it for religious purposes, and if your religious waste kills the fish in the pond, what good is it? Like, what merit or what will you benefit out of throwing this religious waste in the pond and killing the fishes? But it has become a ritual for them. It's not about logic anymore. It's just a ritual that, hey, look, some guru or some person has told us that after you do the puja, come and throw it in water bodies. So they'll keep following it blindly. Also, there's this small nuance of uh, discarding such waste in flowing water bodies like rivers, which is still okay because rivers, as they flow, they self cleanse, right? Which is not the case with stagnant water bodies like lakes. But like the logic is lost somewhere, and it's become a ritual.
It's time for a little self promotion and introducing our new product. So, this show was brought to you by Zero, the last portable battery you will ever need. Zero is not only sustainable and repairable with no tools, it's also modular to fit your needs and your way of consuming energy. With Zero, you can add a flashlight, a tripod, more outputs, you name it. We have 20 plus add ons and 20 plus color combinations. You can have it in all white, wood, glow in dark, or any other color to fit your personality and what you would like to have as a battery. Zero is not only a portable battery, it's a movement. By supporting Zero, you support your right for a more sustainable and responsible tech with repairable designs and products that are built to last as they are meant to be. To support us and get yours, you can go on nomorezero.com or go.nomorezero.com if you want to know more about the product. Don't forget, go.nomorezero.com.
Yeah, so also to clarify, like throwing these wastes in the water body is part of the ritual. It's not, people are not doing it because they are lazy and they want to dispose out of them. It's like part of their ritual, right? Okay, so it makes sense. And I have a question, like having these kind of food that are totally like suitable for human consumption in the water, would that attract the wrong type of animals or plants, etc., in this water pond, disrupting the ecosystem?
Yes, it does. So a lot of people actually put in a lot of food items in the lakes as well. They'll throw in bread and different kinds of foods as well because they want to feed the fish. But what they're feeding the fish is also a pollutant for the water body because it has nutrients in it. It has N, P, N, K, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and different kinds of nutrients. Now, these same nutrients are also available to invasive species like water hyacinth, algae, duckweed, etc. And the uneaten or undigested food will have nutrients which will spur the growth of invasive species, which will deplete the oxygen and the fish will start dying. Therefore, one should not be feeding the fish in these lakes. Um, so technically, that's the thing, but people obviously won't listen to that. That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. And regarding this problem in India, what is the scale of this problem in India? Because if I take, for example, my case in France, I live close to the Seine River, and we don't really like, okay, we take it for granted, like, oh, the Seine River is polluted, you don't swim in it, you don't drink of it, you can fish, but if you fish, if you catch a fish, don't eat it, see it as a sport. If you catch a fish, you are happy, take 2 3 selfies, post them on Instagram, and then throw the fish back to the water, so it's good for the fish to to use this as a leverage against us. But we take it for granted. And even from time to time, like I go out, like right now, if I go out, the water is quite clear and transparent, but sometimes it turned green. Sometimes I go outside and it smells bad. And but we don't really, we are not like emotionally connected to this problem because it looks like far away. We are not concerned by it. We see it as a decoration. So if the decoration is dirty somehow, okay, let's wait some months. But would you say that this problem has an impact on our daily life, and especially in your region? um, because like I feel like you are focusing on this because the problem goes deeper than, oh, it's nice to see like water bodies, and if they are a little bit polluted, I don't care, I don't drink out of them, I don't bath in them, and I don't use them daily, so that it's okay.
Yeah. So I think this is a multi-dimensional problem and it also has multi-dimensional impacts. First and foremost, actually, in the Olympics last year, it was good to see that the river in Parisian was almost at drinking water standards of very clean, that maybe the swimming events were kind of thought that the swimming events could be conducted in the river as well. And that's a great at least a great level to have in terms of cleanliness. In India, we worship rivers as goddesses, yet we do not treat them as such. We do not think twice about discarding our industrial waste, our sewage, pesticides, fertilizers, manure, dead bodies, ritual offerings, anything and everything in the river. Um, Mythologically, historically, or in a cultural sense, they are treated as goddess. They are considered goddesses, but the human behavior does not kind of mimic that. Uh, and the water bodies are need urgent restoration because not even a single urban center in the entire India can boast that our river, the river or the drains or the streams flowing through our city are absolutely clean, let alone drinking water standards. They're even at bathing standards. Not even a single city in India can claim that. That's how polluted they are. Uh, India is also parallelly facing the problem of water scarcity. So the per capita water available in terms of quantity is also going down, and whatever water is available, it's polluted. So you can't directly use it, uh, and it is causing multiple problems. First, the first thing that happens is the fish and the aquatic life die, so the ecosystem is impacted, and water bodies are often the last ecological hotspot in an urban areas, right? The rest is concrete jungle. It's the rivers, lakes, and the gardens maybe that still have some ecology left in them. But if the water is polluted, the fish won't be able to survive in it. If the fish aren't there, the birds would no longer come there. The fish will die. Their bodies will float on the surface. Mosquitoes will start breeding there, causing waterborne diseases like malaria, jaundice, typhoid, etc. Um, and that has obviously, it's not just diseases but deaths as well. In my city, people die of waterborne diseases in 10 or 30 people die every year still in my city of Indore. So that's still a problem. And that has a kind of a compounding effect, right? If the main breadwinner of the family dies because of a waterborne disease, the let's say the wife who's not, let's say, financially independent or is not working or is not an earning member suffers along with the children. So it does have multiple effects. Also, if the groundwater gets polluted, what will the future generation do? Right? They'll maybe have to abandon the city. Um, and then the groundwater sources are getting depleted. Water was available at 100 feet. Now it's not even available at 1,000 feet below the ground. So that scarcity angle is getting compounded. The groundwater is also getting polluted. Then we have a global perspective to this, where the sludge that is rotting at the bottom of water bodies will give out methane emissions, contributing to global greenhouse gas emissions. That needs to be solved for as well. Uh, and so there are multiple things, and it's not just about being an eyesore or the river should look great. It has health implications, not just for the present generation, but for the future as well. So that's the reason why they absolutely need to be restored on a war footing.
Hmm. And you use two terms that are very important when you describe what you do. You are not talking about cleaning the water, but about reviving and restoring or regenerating. So, what would be the difference between regenerating the water body or cleaning the water?
Yeah. So, yeah, I do understand that we use these terms often interchangeably. We use two terms. One is restoration and one is rejuvenation. Restoration, in the core sense of the word, means restoring the water body to its original pristine state, which is simply just not possible today in a urban context, right? Because the forests around the river are all gone, so they can't be restored to its original pristine state. It can be rejuvenated, like it can be given a new facelift in the new perspective, right? Because who do you rejuvenate the water body for? Is it for the fishermen? Is it for the people who live near the water body? Is it from the perspective of the government, or is it from the perspective of every citizen, or is it from the perspective of the ecology and the biodiversity, right? Who's the stakeholder, like for whose agenda or purpose are you rejuvenating the water body? And that's also something very complex. Different people have different agendas, and therefore it needs to be rejuvenated. We can't be restoring it any further. Regenerating is also possible for the dead water bodies. So a lot of rivers and streams have died because of water extraction from them. Like India's population has become 4 to 5 times in the last 70 to 80 years. 4 to 5 times. That's just uncontrolled growth, uh, and unplanned one at that as well. So while a certain, let's say, 5 or 10 square kilometer of an urban center should have housed X number of people, now there might be 2x or 4x number of people living there. And often they would not have wastewater lines connected to their homes. The wastewater might flow in open drains. Um, and water bodies often are at the lowest point in a contour, right? Let's say somebody who's just living next to a water body, their sewage can't flow against the gravity, right? It will eventually come to the water body. There's absolutely no way you can avoid that. You can maybe tap the wastewater coming into the water body, have a pipeline run parallel to the river. Downstream, it goes to a treatment plant, and that becomes very complex. Uh, and so these are different challenges. Therefore, restoration and maybe regeneration is not the term we often use. We prefer rejuvenating them because they have to be reimagined in the fresh urban perspective.
It's very interesting to see this perspective because it's true, it's impossible to get the original state of the water body back because everything that was outside and around it in the design is not here anymore. It's like you lost part of your software, so the rest is not running smoothly because some plugins are not installed anymore. When it comes now to your activity, your day-to-day business, uh, who's your main stakeholder?
Right. So in the early part of a business, that is the 0 to 1 journey of building an organization, and the 1 to 10, we are focusing more on the private segment, like a B2B kind of a business model. Uh, and for the 10 to, let's say, the 10,000 kind of the bigger scale up, we'll eventually have to go with the government because government owns most of the water bodies. But it's really difficult to work with the government in India on multiple fronts. Taking a project from the government takes 6 to 9 months just to get the project from them. Um, the government doesn't give you any advance payment. They expect you to put money from your own pocket, uh, do the project, raise an invoice for the same, pay taxes again from your own pocket. You haven't received a single penny till now. You have to give them bribes from your own pocket again. You have to visit them 10, 20, 30 times, fold your hands in front of them, please give me payment. Uh, and they'll take their own sweet time. They'll take another year, year and a half, 2 years to give you the entire payment. And therefore, working with, and you will have to cook your books, which is often not possible because we have investors on board as well. So cooking our books is not possible, etc. So working with the government is very difficult. And in the midst of this, multiple officers might get transferred or changed. So it's a complete headache working with the government. But the problem is the most of the water bodies are owned by the government. So eventually we'll have to work with them. But our start has been through partnering with NGOs, not-for-profit societies, the non-government organizations, because there's this wonderful system called CSR, corporate social responsibility, where the top corporates in the country have to give 2% of their last year's profit towards social activities like education, environment, orphans, old age, etc., any social cause. So the corporates give their CSR funds to a NGO or a not-for-profit organization. They will do the basic things like, let's say, picking up garbage from a water body, making a boundary wall around the lake or the pond, involving the community that, hey, look, it's your pond, you should also take ownership here. But for improving the water quality, they'll buy our product. So that's how we structure it. That we take care of the water part and improving the water quality, restoring the ecology, while the NGOs and these not-for-profit societies take care of everything else, like the services, taking permissions from the government as well, involving the community. So that's how we structure our business.
Well, it's always difficult to work with in a B2G model because we as startups don't have the same temporality as the government. And
Yes.
when for us, like, it take us one meeting to shift our business model and start something new or launch a new product, we can do it in like a day or two. In the other hand, you have a stakeholder that has 10 times your, let's say, decision making lead time, 10 times decision makers, and 10 times more complexity. So it's always a headache. So I'm assure you, it's not because of the the Indian market. It's the same thing everywhere.
Yeah,
And
it is.
now, when you mention NGOs, etc.,
So generally, we can pick up any water body given the owner of the water body gives us permission. We like the privately owned water bodies that might be inside a resort, might be inside a private educational campus, etc. Is generally that private entity's headache. But the government right now does not have adequate funds to rejuvenate the public water bodies. And therefore, when it receives support from the CSR funds, from the corporates through these NGOs, it's a welcome thing for them. But still, the permission needs to be taken in from the government that, look, you're the government, you own this particular lake, but you might not have adequate plans or funds to rejuvenate that, neither the expertise. Why don't we come in, bring in funds from outside, rejuvenate it, do your job for you? Just give us permission. That's all we need. So these permissions are often required, but such a meritorious proposition also receives refusal often, because if you are raising funds from outside, rejuvenating the water body, the government official didn't get anything out of this, right? Why would you pay him a bribe with the external funds, right? If a government tender was floated for the same water body, he could pocket 5%, 10%, 15% of that. But because he had leverage over you, unless he signed your invoice, the government won't pay you. So you have to give him a bribe. So he has leverage over you. But when you bring in funds from outside, he has no leverage over you. And therefore, he would not let you do such a basic, simple thing, which is for the good of everyone except his own pocket, right? A
Okay.
corporate gave you funds to rejuvenate it, but the government official got nothing out of it, right? He would only gain when there's a tender floated. So they do create roadblocks for that as well sometimes.
Yeah, so that's crazy when greed comes in the way of common good. When your action serves anyone and everyone in the community, you're not cleaning the water to use the water for an industrial project in the future. You do it for the sake of having clean water and rejuvenated ponds and lakes, etc. And let's get back to the product itself. When you describe it, you say that, well, I see it as a floating garden. When you have like your plants, the roots, etc., it can or it may seem simplistic, thinking, oh, let's take like any floating platform with some holes, plant some plants, etc. Is there like real R&D back in it, and the selection of the plant is important, etc.? How the magic happens?
Yes. So there's a lot more to these floating gardens or floating wetlands than what meets the eye. And that's a very common misconception. People think plants are doing the entire treatment, which is incorrect. In a floating wetland, plants contribute only 10 to 20% of the treatment. The majority, 80 to 90% treatment, is being done by the bacterial colonies or the bacterial layers, which are called biofilms, that do 80-90% of the treatment. But that's often submerged in the water, and therefore it does not meet the eye. And therefore, it's a common misconception that only like it's just like you just made a makeshift arrangement to make the plants float. It's not that. So we add a material called biomedia underneath our floating wetlands. The purpose of biomedia is just to provide surface area so that friendly bacteria can come and attach to this surface. Their population of bacteria could go up 10x, 100x because of that. And hence the pollutant removal that these friendly bacteria will be able to do would also be then 10x or 100x. So it's not a simple makeshift platform for floating plants. It is bioengineered. And also, for example, in terms of our microbial cultures, it's not a single bacteria or a single powder that we're just throwing in. It has 5 different kinds of bacteria, each catering to different things. So, ammonia is something that comes in the water. First, the nitrification needs to be done, then denitrification needs to be done. There are 2 different bacteria for this. The third bacteria would then, let's say, go and remove the color. The fourth will remove the smell. The fifth will reduce the volume of the sludge at the bottom of water bodies, and solve for other issues as well. So these are bioengineered, and that's where our R&D goes, of making our products better. Um, so that they could clean more amount of water with less quantity of these products in a shorter span of time, with having no other side effects. And have it should like it should not just clean the water, but should not adversely impact the ecology as well in any manner. That's another constraint we have to work under. All of them should be floating, because you have no space available around water bodies because they're encroached. So we those are the constraints we have to work under. And also, for example, you can't use a filter in a water body. Similar to a swimming pool, you kind of keep recirculating the water in a swimming pool, and therefore any particle that falls into it is eventually filtered out. But you can't do that in a water body, because there might be eggs of fishes or insects or other things at the bottom of water bodies, right? If you filtered out the entire thing, the eggs would get filtered out as well. Some small fish seedlings might get stuck in your filter, and therefore filters can't be used. But you still have to clean the water, but not harm the ecology. So there are too many constraints that you have to kind of navigate your way through.
Yeah, I can see it, like, because while preparing the episode, I was putting myself in your shoes and started to imagine how I would do it. And filters were like the low hanging fruit to the solution. Like, say, hey, like the filter. But now that you mentioned, like, fish eggs, small, insect eggs, or even insects, etc., filtering the water can means also like killing the ecosystem. You will have
Yes.
like clean water, but the clean empty water, like,
Y-
it's not a lake or it's not a pond anymore. It's suitable for other stuff.
yes.
And how how much of the total area would you need to cover with your floating wetlands to be effective? Do I need to? Is it like 10% of the pond or the lake, or do we need to take like 50% to clean 100%?
Oh, so actually it's as low as 0.5%. Uh, because we are
Okay.
also installing aerators along with it and dosing our microbial cultures. However, if the pollution load is really massive, let's say if a pond could hold 10 million liters of water, and you're just putting in, let's say, 10,000 liters of wastewater in it every day, which is a small quantity compared to the lake volume, then just covering 0.5% of the lake surface area with wetlands would do. But in a lake volume of 10 million liters, if you're putting in 5 million liters of wastewater every day, obviously you'll have to increase the coverage of floating wetlands, you'll have to increase the number of aerators, also the quantity of bacteria that you're dosing every day. But yeah, like in generally in mildly polluted, semi-polluted kind of water bodies, just covering 0.5% or maybe a maximum of 1% does the job.
Yeah, and usually, do you have a precise time frame for action where you come in, you install your installation, and then the water clean? Let's go, let's pack it up and go somewhere else, or your installation is here to stay because it serves the ecosystem on the long term.
Yeah. So our products are here to stay. At least the floating wetlands and aerators are capex heavy. So we'll install them one time. They'll be there on the water body for the coming 5, 10, 15, 20 years with very little maintenance. Uh, but the microbial cultures, the powder with friendly bacteria, is something you'll have to keep dosing it. Think of it like a medicine. Let's say if somebody is on medicine for diabetes or blood pressure or whatever, they have to take the medicine every day, right? It's similar to that. If your water body is receiving wastewater every day, you'll have to keep dosing these cultures every day. So although like we'll manufacture all our products here centrally in Indore, even if you're working in any corner of India or the globe for that matter, we'll ship our products there, do the installation within one day, and then we'll start maintaining the water body. Obviously, the water body will get cleaned in a week's time, in a month's time, but at least our maintenance work starts there. So the products will be there, the wetlands and the aerators will keep dosing our cultures every day, and within a week, 15 days, 30 days time, the water body will get clean. So that's how we operate.
Okay, and are you present in other regions outside of indoor and maybe even outside India?
Currently, we haven't done a project outside India, but in India, we are project all across the nation, more than 9 states now. So yeah, North India, South India, West, etc. So yeah, we work across India, but we're yet to do a project outside India right now.
And why? Where would you see yourself, not as a person, but as a business, and in the future? What would be your big picture?
So the big picture is us becoming a product company. Let's say anybody rejuvenating a water body anywhere across the globe uh, should have heard of us. Let's say I imagine a future scenario where everybody kind of knows about our organization. The basic things that an individual could have done by themselves, right? Like picking up garbage from a water body or planting some trees around it. They'll do those basic things themselves, but they'll just, and our products would be available all across the world. That, hey, please give me 100 kilos of the bacterial powder, or I need 5 aerators, or I need 25 floating wetlands. That's how we envision things. That anything that does not require a lot of skill and could be done by anybody, we expect people to do that by themselves, because the quantum of water bodies is huge. So in India, the water body census was conducted for the first time just 2 years back in 2023, and we have identified 2.4 million lakes in India. 2.4 million lakes in India. And it's simply impossible for me to reach everywhere and like spend days or weeks or months at every water body, right? But we still have to rejuvenate them. So we are kind of working under that vision, that, hey, look, our value is improving the water quality. We make products for the same, while you do everything else. Similar to, let's say, any pump manufacturer, like, right? For example, if you're building a building or any residential complex, you have a contractor who does everything for you, right? The pump manufacturer will only give you the pump. You'll buy plumbing locally, you'll get a plumber locally, and then do the installation yourselves or through the contractor or the plumber, right? The pump manufacturing company will not come and install the pump for you, right? They'll just manufacture the pump saying it's 1 horsepower or 10 horsepower. Do you require two pumps or 20? Just let me know, right? So that's a kind of a business model you want to transition into, so that we're able to cater to these 2.4 million stagnant water bodies in India, plus the flowing ones are different. They're not included in this sense. There's a stagnant ones at 2.4 million. And there are a lot more developing countries across the world that are facing problems similar to India. So we need to cater to them as well. So we eventually want to become a product company, uh, just offering these products.
And when it comes, well, I understand that the floating wetlands, etc., may require some expertise and engineering to deploy. But for the microbial cocktail, would I be able, for example, I bought like a land with a pond, and I want to have some nice ecosystem in my pond. Would that be easy for me with no training, no knowledge, to buy it from you and spray it on water?
Yeah. So that's how easy we want to make our products in terms of installation and usage. Let's say if I give you any powder and ask you to just sprinkle the powder all over the pond, obviously you can do it, right? All you'd require is a boat, or you'll walk around the pond and sprinkle the powder, right? So this is something you can do yourselves. Also, you can plant any plant yourselves, right? You might need to just dig up a hole, plant the plant, put in manure, or the planting mix, water it, right? Even planting is very similar. So for our products which are, let's say, floating wetlands, we have already made them very simple enough that the client can kind of do the installation themselves, guided only by, let's say, a small handbook or an installation manual. Do it yourself kind of a manual. That's what we eventually want to transition to. We understand that for the initial few hundred projects, we might still have to give services and go and do the installation ourselves. So we're still in that phase, but eventually we'll like to kind of move away from the installation and the services and just be product manufacturers.
One of our mottos at Ecosystemic is to look at the side effect of technology and see the impact on a larger scale. Because that's our biggest problem today related to technology. We see that we create something and then 20 years later we realize that it had some side effects we didn't take in consideration and we need to fix it with some like duct tape to redo it again. And when it comes to your innovation and your technology, especially related to the microbial cocktail, as I call it, have you studied the long-term effect and the side effects that it may have outside of the water pond, because it may have effect on the surrounding plants, surrounding animals, humans, etc. Have you taken this in consideration, or it's something that's still under development?
Yes, we have taken that into consideration, and therefore we're not using genetically modified bacteria. All the bacteria that we use is anyways naturally present in the environment, in water bodies. All doing is giving them a boost so that their population increases to cater to the pollutants that have come in. So we do understand that this harmful effects or side effects that chemicals have, our bacteria obviously should not have that. And therefore, we've just chosen the natural bacteria so that it does not impact anyone downstream, or it does not impact the fishes or the plants around it, or any human or a cattle that might be drinking water from it or anything. So we are cognizant of that fact and have developed the product accordingly. However, it the changing times and use of technology is bringing in fresh challenges along with it, because any think of it in a developing nation, any product that we use will eventually find its way to a water body. It could be 50 kinds of plastic. There could be polyethylene, PE. It could be LDPE, HDP, low density polyethylene, high density polyethylene. It could be FRP. It could be multiple polymers. It could be polystyrene. Then you have industrial effluents of all kinds. You might have textile effluent, dyes. You might have pharmaceutical wastewater coming in, right? So the thing with technology is we are using so many different kinds of materials right now, and therefore removing all of them has become a technology challenge in itself. Had all of these been organic things, they could have been degraded by the nature. But there are things like forever compounds right now that we use on a daily basis. Like the name suggests, forever compounds is something that nature will take centuries or maybe millenniums to degrade naturally. So obviously, we should not be using such products in the first place, right? Because in developing countries like India, they will eventually find its way to the water bodies, and removing them through nature-based solutions is simply not possible. You can only remove them through chemical ways, and also very specific chemical methods. And then you can't dose chemicals in the water body, because then what would happen to the ecology? So it's a lot of constraints here that you have to work under. So such material should be avoided and should not be used. Should be banned completely. Uh, but in a capitalist world, obviously the policy plays catch up, and therefore the water bodies are still getting deteriorated.
Yeah. And when it comes to your business model, I understand your current business model and it's like very clear to understand. But would that be logical and feasible to think of your solution also as an asset for carbon and CO2 mitigation?
Yes, it is. Our products actually reduce the amount of methane emissions from a water body, because let's say think of the sludge or the particles or the organic matter rotting or decomposing at the bottom of water bodies, right? The oxygen transfer in a water body will only happen at the surface of the lake or the river. The oxygen is unable to reach till the bottom of the river or the lake. In absence of oxygen, had there been oxygen, CO2 would have been emitted. But if there's no oxygen, methane is emitted, which is 22 times more potent than CO2, right? Uh, and therefore, in a polluted water body, there are a lot of methane emissions. But if we aerate the water body, make it completely clean, even the bottom sludge is not rotting or decomposing anymore, then obviously we reduce the amount of methane emissions from that water body. and therefore, if you we can quantify what's the uh, tons of CO2 or tons of methane that we've reduced. But in order to generate carbon credits, this way of calculation or this methodology needs to be approved by the relevant approving authorities. And that's something that hasn't been done till now. So, for example, when somebody plant trees, depending on what tree, what age, etc., you still have a formula to calculate what tons of CO2 would be sequestered if you plant 1 acre of this tree or etc. That kind of a methodology, unfortunately, does not exist in the water sector right now. Although there is a direct benefit there in terms of the CO2 or methane that you'll reduce. But obviously, that methodology needs to be approved and that system needs to be followed so that you can start generating carbon credits. So that's something we also have in our kind of pipeline that we want to get such a methodology approved. But yeah, being an organization, you have to prioritize some things over the other.
Exactly. Yeah, you would as a startup you would like to be everywhere and do everything, but then reality hits you and you need to focus on what matters. And regarding your current state, what can you tell me more about the company? How many people you are? What's the current state? Have you had previous funding rounds? Are you looking for funds? Like it's your advertisement moment. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we are a small organization still. We're just 12 members right now. Although we have people like PhDs on board as well, looking after tech, engineering, and R&D. We also have a sales and a marketing team that reaches out to customers and gets in more business. So that's how we structure our organization. Like the tech team and the engineering team will take care of the manufacturing, new product development, R&D, and deciphering what needs to be done. And then there's a business and ops team that gets the projects, does the installation and execution. So that's how we've structured it. But we still have a long way to go. Right? With kind of support, we do require more kind of funding to step up our R&D efforts. We need to increase our business team so that we can cater to these millions of water bodies in the coming 5 to 10 years, because that's what the climate change timeline or the climate change clock looks to me. In my personal opinion, it's just 5 to 10 years, maybe even less. So that's something we're still focusing on, while balancing how much to get into R&D and new product development while still kind of sustainably growing your business.
Yeah, and are you looking to raise funds currently or not yet?
We are looking to raise our next round of funding. Although we've been bootstrapped for most of our journey, we have only raised a single round of funding, and that to a very small amount. We just diluted 4%. And
Mhm.
like post COVID, we had to get the ball rolling again because COVID was really harsh on us. Uh,
Mm.
in a developing country like India, the government rejuvenating water bodies was in the last priority list of the government, with new things to be done on the COVID front. Obviously, that took precedence. The budget for water bodies were completely dried out. Suppose that we had to just kind of pick up a small sum of money. We diluted 4%, but yeah, we're looking to raise our next round now to kind of ramp up operations. Uh, Looking to raise just a few mil. That's it.
Okay, so we will put in all the details maybe in the description of the podcast, etc. So future investors may know how to contact you. And I think like you may find a great fit because just as what we do at Control Energy, like investors need to understand that what you are doing has a very efficient capex compared to water treatment centers, etc. Like now with technology, with innovation, with what we call industry 4.0, your solution will cost way less than any other legacy solution existing to manufacture and to bring to market. So people need to remove this like preconception of, oh, if it's something that needs to be manufactured, if it's not software, it's expensive. And you need to put in like tens of millions to have a working prototype. And it's not true anymore. And you prove it. Like, you are almost bootstrapped. you have not only a product, but you also have use cases, POCs, and results to show that your product works. So I strongly encourage any investor looking at this episode to take contact with you. Man, we've been talking together for almost like an hour and 15 minutes now. Any final thoughts?
Uh, yeah, so I would like to kind of send this message across, not just to people in India, but across the globe, that the climate change clock is ticking. We have less time than what you might think. In India, the summers have just started. Last year was the
Mhm.
hottest year on record. This year, we already know it's going to be hotter than last year. There's going to be water scarcity. There's going to be fish deaths, ecological disasters, wildfires, and all kinds of environment catastrophes. The message I want to kind of send across is for people to start having a conversation and a dialogue on this, so that the awareness of the general populace is raised on this matter. And we Because when people start talking is when the action is catalyzed. It will put pressure on the politicians, on the policymakers, on the corporates, on everybody who's responsible to tackle this problem. And therefore, we should be kind of talking more about it, putting the pressure so that the change ne- so that the change could be ushered in within the timeline. I really hope that we don't wake up after a disaster, but kind of prevent it from happening in the first place.
Exactly. And, as sometimes it's very simple. Like you can, we are not requiring people to follow blindly what we say or what experts say, what scientists says, etc. You can have doubts. Just go outside. Look around you. You don't need to read like articles and numbers and statistics and say, "Oh, climate change, temperature is raising, lowering, etc." Blah blah blah. Go outside. And would you feel that things are going the way they should be? I don't think so. Like, I feel way more concerned by our climate and our ecosystem, because at the end we are just like, small beings, crawling around our rocky planet that is traveling in the void. And our ecosystem is not treated as it should be. So there is no like article or study, etc., to prove this to me. I just need my eyes and look outside and see how we are working. And your action is very important because it's something tangible. It's something tangible that has effect beyond the the aesthetic of protecting an ecosystem, because this ecosystem has effect on multiple ecosystems. And you know I've seen like a small fraction of what you do through your website, to the resources that you send me, etc. And I think that this is the way to go for bigger scales. And your kind of solution is easy to adopt in our urban modern society, and can give like a fresh start to every water body that we have in our urban areas. So kudos to you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much. And I'll also just kind of add a line to the last message I had. Was kind of I would like implore the youth to take up more action on this, because it's the youth or the people who are 10, 20, 30 years old that will bear the brunt of climate change. However, it was the past generation that kind of overlooked the environment for their own personal gains. But it's the new
Hmm.
generation that will bear the brunt of it. So there are peoples who will obviously think about the world, the community, and everyone, but there are some people who just think about themselves. To even those people, I'll appeal that just think about yourself, because it's your life that will also be impacted by this. When the crops fail, when there's no water, the air is polluted, etc., it is you who's going to suffer. So even if you don't care about the environment, about the world, about the community, no problem. Just care about yourself, because climate change will affect you as well, even if you had no hand in uh, it becoming the catastrophic calamity it is right now.
Yeah, very powerful, powerful. Look, Priyanshu, that was a pleasure for me to have you. Where do people can find you?
So people can find me on LinkedIn. I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
most approachable on LinkedIn. That's the most I use. However, you can reach out to us on our email address as well, which is
Mm-hmm.
contact@clean-water.co.in. So people can send in me a email. My phone number is also there on our website. So people who prefer sending a direct WhatsApp message or a call directly, do have my number, my email ID, but I think LinkedIn is the most preferred way to reach out to me.
Perfect, perfect. Thanks a lot, and wish you the best for your journey.
Right. Thank you so much, Raouf. It was a pleasure talking to you, and hope this message reaches out to maximum people and drives the impact that is required. Thank you.
We hope so. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
That's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed making it. Ecosystemic is available on all major platforms: YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, and pretty much everywhere. Please support us by subscribing, sharing with people. We try to bring in the show the best guests, providing unbiased and honest feedback about these issues. Don't forget, if you want to take a step further and support us, support Zero, go to nomorezero.com and get yours. It's not only a portable battery, it's a movement. And to get more fun, join the community.lepo.tech, where you will meet passionate people just like you, building together from initiatives to open source projects to supporting our actions. And for that, I can't thank you enough. Until the next episode, see you soon. Bye-bye.